Jar Jar. Jar Jar Binks.
Order! Excuse me.
Have you ever been approached by Mormon missionaries, Cody?
I don't think I have actually, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know if they're super prevalent in Indiana, which is, of course, where we grew up. Shout out Indiana, big ups. But no, I have not. Have you, Corbin?
This was like a weird, I think, like first week of college thing where it was like, oh,
Mm.
wow, I was just sitting. I think it was maybe during BGR, maybe literal first week of classes where it was like a downtime. No one was really around. I was just like chilling somewhere on campus. And these two dudes come up to me and start chatting me up about, hey, do you know about God? Do you know what the Mormon Church, Church of Latter-day Saints? And they gave me they had some event or something that they were hosting like the next week, and like come bowling with us, I think is what it was.
Oh,
I
nice.
did not attend, and I kind of shoot them away, unfortunately. And then I've come across. I feel like a few other times on Purdue's campus, I would see them walking. There, obviously especially the men are easily recognizable with like the basic like white shirt and black tie. Affair. I saw one a couple weeks ago walking the streets of Jersey City as well. A pair, trying to get some people, convert them. Obviously,
Oh,
like
wow.
that missionary, that service is like a required thing in the Mormon Church. So you're likely to come across them in the real world. And, how will you react, Cody, when it happens? Will you ask
Well,
them to show up to your house?
my first interaction now, I think I know exactly what to say, thanks to this movie. So I'll have some good talking points for sure.
Obviously, this is the main crux of this Heretic film, this movie, where these two Mormon missionary girls come to Hugh Grant's house, and spooky things ensue as he basically kidnaps them. What did you think about this movie, Heretic, Cody?
I mean, I thought it was pretty decent. Obviously, an A24 flick, which I'm a fan of, that genre altogether. Um,
Genre of extra, yeah,
That's like
classic.
theirs. But it's really like an enclosed story. It's really a dialogue movie more than anything else.
Oh yeah.
So I did enjoy that aspect of it. I think for me too, because I'm a big subtitles guy.
Mm.
I think that really would have elevated my experience.
Gotta find an open caption screening, Cody. They do exist, I
They
believe.
do, they do. I didn't even think about it with this because I don't know if I've seen this talky of a movie from an A24 flick, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, I'm a big dialogue guy in general. But yeah, subtitles would help. But overall, also with me too, like I don't know, I just feel weird like relating or not. I guess relating is the right word to like Hugh Grant's character, just because like with myself, I'm not very religious. I'll just say that off the bat. So when he's kind of making some of these points and stuff, it's almost like I agree with him on some of this stuff. But that also makes me feel really, really weird just because of like, what his character is doing, obviously kidnapping these girls. So it kind of just left me in a weird state with that too of I don't know if I was enjoying it as much just because of, the religious ideology, argument that was going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Hugh Grant is the villain. He's the monster. He's the
Oh
big
yeah.
bad, the creature, the kidnapper. And in his performance, I think he's fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
um, he is just absolutely cooking in this character. He does a Jar Jar Binks impression that is like, I mean, I'm sure, honestly, I don't think Hugh Grant probably has watched Star Wars. I'm sure he's seen clips of Jar Jar Binks at some point, but like,
You
it's
don't
like
think he's seen
as if
Star
he
Wars?
hasn't seen it. Hugh Grant, man, interesting character himself. I think he's fantastic in this role because he is kind of like in real life a sinister, evil man to a certain extent. It feels like, and he's really leaned into that in the last couple of years, kind of playing these like dark characters, rather than just like always being the romantic love interest. I think this is a perfect fit for him. I hear what you're saying with the religious aspects. I've had my own struggles with religion throughout my life, and what he's talking about and these talking points he's giving are like the very basic like 101. You're on the fucking internet, what are you looking at? Like it's very simplified, it's very like Reddit bro explainy, and that's kind of what I love about it, because like this is an encapsulation of this like pseudo intellectual guy who thinks he's discovered the truth about religion and is now using it to commit horrible acts. And I think that's super interesting. And Hugh Grant completely vibes in that role.
I think he nails it all together. And kind of like you're saying too, I feel like I guess other than Wonka, which came out last year, from everything that I've seen of Hugh Grant before, it's mostly like that rom-com kind of
Mhm.
style or role that he's typically in. So I think it's really cool that, later on in his
Well, like
career,
D&D shit heel. Like, yeah, you're getting
well,
stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah, later, like
that's
now.
you can compare that to this movie for sure, and I think he's perfect in this. Like he's just the right amount of creepy, but also just like super charismatic and engaging. Where especially with like that first half hour where it is mostly just them talking back and forth. You obviously get the weird vibes of like what's going on here, but he's just such a nice guy and he has such charisma that you're kind of drawn in. And I don't know if I would have tried to leave as early as kind of these girls just because of where the conversation was at and everything. So I love roles like this for Hugh. I hope he keeps doing weird stuff like this because I think he is really, really great in this. And his character too, like it is interesting. Like I feel like the more I thought about this movie after it ended, I did like it a little bit more and more,
Mhm.
just because. I mean, in a sense, he's trying to portray that he's playing chess, like he's playing a super deep game, but low key he's just playing checkers.
That is what I really love about it is that
Yeah.
like he's not that cunning. Like he is
No.
kind of just an idiot at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I really like that, exploration. I think maybe like for an opening scene, maybe if we had some sort of flashback to his character in the past, something random, even
But you
like
want
with
a
all the
horror opening. Interesting, Cody. You've critiqued
weird.
many of those in the past. You didn't like the Magnum Condom opening that this movie has.
That was pretty funny actually, so I'll give it a pass for that. But I'm always gonna be on board with a jokey, beginning like that. But just something more like how did he get all this, religious stuff?
Mhm.
Because all of like the house and the layout of it looks like he's been like a billion places. Maybe he just ordered it all on Amazon. I don't really know, but I feel like that explanation maybe in the first minute or two would have been good. So we kind of know who he is more at the end of everything. But I mean, I thought overall it's a pretty tight script. I mean, not a very long movie. Pretty fast paced, and like I said, for kind of a talking movie, I was surprised kind of how engaged I was the entire time. So, and I don't think these directors. I think the only other thing they did was that
What I want to talk
Adam
about next.
Driver, yeah, dinosaur movie, which I didn't see, but I heard it was really bad. So good for them for kind of bouncing back here.
First of all, Cody, this is revisionist history, and I'm not like going to let you participate in it as I've refused to let anybody, including Mina. These guys are the original writers of The Quiet Place. Like these are the
Yeah,
guys who came up with it before John
it was
Krasinski got
like
his hands on it.
co-wrote,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. They wrote the spec script. They came up with the idea of the sound monsters. John Krasinski then comes in, I think adds a lot of like the personal familial aspects and in who's to say, but it is very much those three all wrote it. And then because of him directing the movie and then, kind of continuing the franchise beyond the first movie, I feel like Krasinski gets a lot of the sole authorial credit there. And it's very important that like really Scott Beck and Brian Wood's big break was A Quiet Place.
Yeah, but they also didn't write this movie, I don't believe. So,
No, they did.
and
They did. They wrote,
they
direct,
did.
produced this movie. Yeah.
Oh, shout out. Well, that is interesting then, because I mean, Quiet
They
Place is
also
just
wrote
like
The Boogeyman, the Stephen King adaptation that came out last year.
okay. But that is an interesting contrast because obviously, like A Quiet Place, it's kind of like anti-dialogue, and then kind of completely turning it on its head with this flick. I think is pretty interesting. But I feel like the thing too, and I do this with a ton of other stuff, but this movie just like reminds me of other movies. I feel like Barbarian is a really easy comparison. Even something like The Black Phone as well. Both movies I've seen kind of over the last couple years. I think I
Basement
like
movie.
those. Yeah, I think I like those movies more than this one.
I
But it
agree.
does
I do.
it does have like cool world building and of course the whole layout of the place I think is really cool too. But I don't know, just it's not on that upper tier for me of A24 or even like similar-ish movies like this, but I still did enjoy it.
I had a really good time in the theater. That was the thing. It's like it to me isn't like super smart or super it has its flaws. There's issues, especially in the third act that it comes
Yeah,
across of, but like I just had a really fun time seeing Hugh Grant and as well these two girls, Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher as
they're
well,
both great.
who are
Yeah.
both solid. And like the trifecta of them is just like entertaining to watch the way they're playing off each other. I saw it by myself the first time, and then I was like, "Hey, Mina, I would go see this again if you wanted." And we went and saw it again in the theater. So I've actually seen this movie twice now, and
Nice.
I just think it's an entertaining watch. It is funny on my like horror ranking list. I think it's like very similarly Heretic, and then I have the Black Phone ahead of it, and then Barbarian are all in a very like
Nice.
similar area on the list. But I do agree both those movies are a little bit better. This one and Barbarian has a better basement for sure.
Yeah, for sure. They're easy to compare to, but no, that's a good point. Just like how small the cast is. It like these two
There's
girls,
like
like the
one other guy, but it's just them
Topher,
three.
Topher sighting. Love that. Also, when I was watching it the first time, I was like questioning if at the end of the movie, I was questioning if Topher was even like a real person or if it was just something Hugh Grant, had made up that somebody was knocking on the door. So I was like, wait, was Topher actually in this movie or no? And that was a tough moment for me. But yeah, these two girls are both phenomenal. I haven't seen them in a ton. I think they definitely deserve more stuff coming up, especially after this. And they're different characters as well, and they really bounce off each other. I thought really really coolly. So overall, cast is great, script is tight. I would definitely recommend this movie altogether. But not my favorite contained story of all time, but still pretty good. Second viewing will help. Second viewing will help for sure for
Yeah,
me.
and that's the thing. I think I gained something as well, kind of getting to rewatch some of it, kind of see the way, like especially knowing where it ends up, kind of the setup. Obviously, the movie has its own like, let's flash back to the beginning. Did you notice this in the beginning? And it's
Of
cool
course,
to
yeah.
try and watch it the first time. Chloe East, I have seen in The Fableman. She plays like the love interest of the Sammy Fableman, the pseudo Steven Spielberg in the movie. So she's solid in that movie. And then Sophie Thatcher, I hadn't really seen before, but she's in Yellow Jackets, and she
Yeah.
apparently appears in Maxine, but
Yeah, I looked that up. It was some very small character.
small role. Yeah, she's like
I
it's cameo is what the note said on her,
oh,
her Wikipedia page. So
that's when you know it's small. Yeah.
in the Book of Boba Fett, I didn't watch that shit. I gotta be honest.
You watch more of that than me, yeah. So.
Chloe East, I gotta give a shout out. It's a great like glasses hair up, and then by the end of the movie, no glasses hair down
Yeah.
transformation.
It's a
Just
completely
final
different
girl shit.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. The glasses is the real difference, but shout out to them. They were both awesome, I thought.
Notably, this movie, Cody, also features a choice between two doors.
Yeah.
And we had to connect that to another movie with a lot of doors. Hello and welcome back to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates talk about 2001's Monsters, Inc.
The creators of Toy Story
Morning, fellas.
Hey, what's shaking, bacon?
Did you lose weight or a limb?
take you into the world behind your closet door.
Roz, you're looking fabulous today. Is that a new haircut? New makeup. You've had a lift. You've had a tuck. You've had something.
We've always been afraid monsters were there,
Scary feet, scary feet, scary feet. Oh, the kid's awake.
waiting to scare us.
Twins and a bunk bed.
But what we didn't know is that we scare them.
What happened?
The kid almost touched me.
You can't touch a child. They're toxic. If a kid ever got through one of our doors, the results would be catastrophic.
As always, I'm your host, Corbin Zvokel, and I'm joined by my co-host, Cody Webb. Cody, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm always watching you.
Always watching.
Shut up, Rise. I've completed all my paperwork for the day and ready for a fun episode. So I think it'll be a good time, man. How's it going?
I'm doing great. I got to shout out. Mina was the one who made the Heretic Monsters Inc. door connection. I don't know if you saw the vision when I first.
I had no idea, honestly. I was thinking about it before. I was like, wait, what's the connection?
Why are we doing this? Is Hugh Grant in Monsters Inc.? No. Yeah, doors, man. They're prominently featured.
Doors are awesome in Monsters Inc. And that is also a pretty, intense scene in Heretic as well. So
Oh. Door City over here.
Yes.
love that connection. And I think it's an awesome movie.
Now, Cody, why did you pick this movie?
Out of everybody you could have chose, why did you pick me?
I don't know. We haven't done like a true animated movie for a while.
Been a minute.
We did Ratatouille a while ago, which was awesome.
About a year ago. I feel like it's been a while now at this point.
Yeah. And we've done some anime in between, which definitely, is in that genre as well. But wanted to kind of kick back to it after, a bit of a horror spiel there. Just have some fun with some animation. I was thinking either this or Wall-E, which are two of my favorite Pixar movies.
Mhm.
I think I'll get into it a little bit, but I think like my top three Pixar, Ratatouille, Wall-E, and Monsters Inc. So maybe we'll do Wall-E in about a year as well, but kind of just wanted to expand on that and do another really fun, just like childhood movie that I love and another just really good Pixar movie.
I think this might be my favorite Pixar movie, to be honest. I really, really love this movie, so I'm excited to talk about it. Wall-E's up there as well, though, and we'll do an ep in the next couple months. We'll hit Wall-E. We'll take a trip.
Okay.
And then also, Cody, I don't know, Monsters Inc. is in the news right now, controversially. Have you seen
Is
this?
it? I don't think so, actually.
Well, this will be especially close to our friends over at the RCR. Two of them, Jeff and Jackson. Monsters Inc. at Disney World is taking over like the Muppet Vision 3D ride and replacing it with Monsters Inc. Land or some bullshit. So RIP to the Muppets.
Muppet Land is getting replaced by Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
And then the Muppets are just getting one
They're
ride
getting like
instead.
a corner. Yeah. Like, hey, this is your fucking. I was reading some like, forum article where it was like fans of the Muppets had long, like hoped this wasn't going to happen. They thought, oh, they'll take away from Star Wars. Come on, it won't be the Muppets. Because they announced Monsters Inc. would get its own thing at D23 maybe like 2 years ago, I think, or a year and a half ago. And then it was finally released in the last week or two. Muppet Vision 3D, goodbye.
That is weird too. I mean, are they planning to expand the Monsters Inc. franchise or something? I feel like the Muppets are more, franchisable and easy to make movies versus this.
That's what I've been hearing. That's what people say. But
live action.
They did a Monsters Inc. show on Disney Plus like 2 years ago. I don't really think it had
gross
impact, but I don't know what the reasoning is, to be honest. But it is topical, Cody, and you have to stand up for it right here.
It's long standing. I mean, I think the fans are still relevant, even though this was made, I believe, in 01. So, I mean, I know the Muppets have a lot of fans too, me included. So, kind of tough, but it's really pick your poison with a lot of that stuff, I feel like.
Well, speaking of long standing, Cody, do you remember the first time you watched it? Was it back in 2001 at the ripe age of 18 months or whatever the hell you were when this came out? Or you were probably like 1.5, right?
I was born in 99. Yeah. So I don't know where I stayed on this.
You were 2. Came out in November of 2001. So you were like 2.5.
Yeah.
You were like Boo's age. Perfect.
Yeah. I was true. Maybe I got scared too, but still I didn't realize it. But I don't remember if I saw it in theaters. Maybe like my parents took me to the theater. This would be a movie that they would as well. But I did have the VHS on tape growing up as a kid, which is super nostalgic, and I love that just thinking about it. But I probably watched it the first time, or at least I remember watching it for the first time when I was like 7 or 8. So this is a really early one for me. This was probably one of the first movies I had ever watched in my life consciously, which I think is really cool. And just kind of giving backstory on Pixar too. This was the 4th movie that they'd released. Yeah. So you obviously had Toy Story, Bug's Life, then Toy Story 2 in front of it. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Like, this is very, very early on in just Pixar's development and sending stuff out. Mm-hmm. And I want to shout out as well, the run they had from like 2000 to 2010 is insane. After this in 03, you had Finding Nemo. 04, you had Incredibles. 06, you had Cars, which is kind of mid. 07, you had Ratatouille. 08, WALL-E. 09, Up. And 010, you had Toy Story 3. So, I mean, that's a whole
became
decade.
Woke, and they made shitty movies, right, Cody?
Yeah, then it was Cars 2, Brave, and Monsters University, but we don't talk about those. But that's 10 years where it's pretty awesome. And but yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to exactly conjure when I saw this. Definitely on the VHS, so shout out to that. But do you remember your first memory of seeing this?
I don't have an early like specific memory of watching this, but like definitely a favorite for me as a child. And I have a picture that I will now put up for all the video watchers on the screen of me at a very young age dressed up as Sully. It's adorable, honestly. I'm going to shout it out. Cody, you can't see it now, but you'll have to go add another view to the YouTube video to watch this, or if you're in the Spotify app. But I was born and bred in the Monsters Inc. shit, man. I've probably one of my earliest Halloween costumes. And then also shout out to my brother and sister in the photo who are rocking matching Yu-Gi-Oh outfits. But yeah, man, like I don't know. I definitely didn't see this in 2001 at 1.5 or whatever. But it was a huge part of my childhood, as many Disney movies were. My mom ran a daycare, so like I'm sure at different points we would watch movies like Monsters Inc. We're not going to talk a lot about Monsters University today because like we don't need to get into that. But when I was 13 and that movie came out in 2013, I saw that in theaters because I enjoyed Monsters Inc. so much. And even my sister, who was 20 at the time, and her and her friends took me to go to the theater, and it was definitely a thing of like, I'm 13 and probably a little too old to be seeing Monsters University. but I'm gonna go with them, and they're probably definitely too old, but they're gonna say they're going with me to like use as a, and we all had a good time watching Monsters University.
Is 13 too young for Monsters University?
I mean, I don't know, going to the theater.
I think
I was in like 7th grade, I guess,
Yeah, fair. I saw that in theaters for sure. That was a big deal for me. Kind of my movie going experiences for sure. I was hyped up for that one, but yeah, I was let down unfortunately. Maybe we'll talk about that in a different episode because I really don't like that movie at all. But I don't think I've seen it. I honestly don't think I've seen it since theaters. So maybe a rewatch would be good. But yeah, I think it's normal for a 13-year-old kid to go to the theaters.
It was I guess my own insecurities, Cody. There was definitely a point where I stopped watching a lot of the new Disney and Pixar movies.
Oh yeah.
Speaking with Mina this week, we got to watch the first Moana because I missed that one. That came out in what?
Oh wow,
2016, 2017. Like
I
wasn't watching the new Disney movies when I was in high school or middle school. Really, Monster University might have been like the end of that. This they ruined it for me. Like the fucking Legacy sequel got me. I'm over it. Sorry,
can't
Pixar,
blame me for that. Yeah. That's very understandable.
Let's jump over to our initial thoughts, Cody.
I'm too damn bad if you don't like my initial clinical reaction.
I mean, I'll just say right off the bat, like I think this movie is pretty much perfect. Like I'm not I am gonna have some complaints that are like really stupid stuff.
Yeah,
and especially it's like stuff that I think the filmmakers have talked about and been like, we just, we don't care. Like they're dumb things that we just let happen because it's for the betterment of the story as a whole. Billy Crystal, John Goodman are just like so great in this, especially Billy Crystal. Like all the times that he obviously is doing improv and is getting to, do his own versions of like bad stand-up throughout are fantastic. In the 21st century, like this is the most significant thing Billy Crystal has done by a land shot. Like he's hosted the Oscars 3 times this century, but Monsters Inc. is the pinnacle of everything he's done for us.
I mean, me personally, I think this is prime Crystal. It doesn't get much better than this. He was really good in the 90s for sure. Obviously, shout out Princess Bride, which is a classic.
1987 classic, yeah.
Yeah, close enough. But in my modern age of watching movies, this was definitely my introduction to Billy Crystal. And I don't think anything can beat it in my eyes, without a doubt. Like you said, I mean, the really cool thing about this movie is just how funny it is. Like the script, airtight, I think. Like you said, I mean, Crystal is also doing his own thing the entire time. So you kind of have these visual gags along with him kind of just commentating the entire movie, which I think is a really awesome combo. And everything surrounding him is great too. I mean, this like world building, I think is so rich, and every time you turn the corner, it's something crazy or fun that you didn't expect. The creativity, I think, doing an animated movie like this, and especially this being, an early addition to Pixar, they really were just like, screw it, like let's do anything. You have an idea, let's put it in the next scene. You got something even crazier, we'll throw it in at the end. So I really just love kind of the collaboration of all these different ideas, and it does come into like somewhat of a cohesive story, surprisingly, even with all these random characters that pop up all the time. And it's really heartfelt. It's action packed. It's got great music. Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with you. I don't think I'll rate it as perfect once we get to the rating, but for an animated movie, it's way up there for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we'll get into with the good, the bad, and the ugly. The last thing I'll say is that like this is definitely a movie that I watched as a child, and it had another like significant role in the way I see the world politically. And like this is a movie about like capitalistic institutions sucking energy from the soil. It's about fucking like oil and fracking in reality. So like I've started a letterbox list. It's private for now of movies that I feel like really influenced me politically, and this is top of the list. Monsters Inc. Man, that's of course Small Soldiers classic.
Yeah, I gotta get that Small Soldiers reference. But it's a good point. I mean, the thing with Waternoose, the head of the company, because when I was watching this as a kid, I was always just like, oh, like, this is a really bad guy. Like him and Randall are in cahoots. But it's not really like that. Waternoose is kind of just like doing anything possible to kind of keep this company alive.
Ooh, interesting take, Cody.
I 100% agree. I think
Waternoose isn't a villain. Wow, well, I wouldn't say that.
He's definitely a villain, but his motives are different from Randall. Randall is pure evil. Waternoose is like, I'm trying to do anything just to keep this company alive. So I think that really plays into what you're saying with like, oh, capitalism, and they'll do shady stuff just to kind of keep themselves out of the media and stuff like that. Because he's clearly in the wrong, but it doesn't make sense from a personal standpoint with like his relationship with Sully. So I think it does get layered, kind of on rewatches for me here too, which I love, and especially as you get older, I feel like that's really cool stuff to have in animated flicks like this, of like deeper stuff to think about. Even though surface level, I mean, it's a dumb, Pixar movie about monsters, but they have all these cool ideas of like kids being, desensitized, and you got to go crazy with the scares. So I really love the commentary kind of involved with it too.
Like you said, Randall is pure evil, and like right off the bat, he's the rival of Sully and Mike. So like it's easy to dislike him. And it turns out like, yeah, this guy's like really up to some shady shit. But like to even be like, oh yeah, Mr. Waternoose was also in on it, and like it was part of this greater corporate conspiracy. Like to put that into a kids movie, is kind of like you said, complex stuff that maybe when you're a child you don't like fully pick up on. But hey, it indoctrinated me. It got me good.
It's all that matters. Love that.
Let's jump over to roll credits.
Say that again.
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Guys, I got it.
You mentioned that this is the fourth Pixar film. Notably, this like comes out of Pixar signs a distribution deal with a 3-picture deal with Walt Disney, with Disney, animation. Pixar, of course, is originally like through Lucasfilm, and then is like a Steve Jobs-led, Apple-owned company until it's fully bought out by Walt Disney in 2006. So some people say maybe that was really what led to the end of Pixar, or maybe was it John Lasseter being creepy? Who will know? But this is the fourth Pixar film, and it's a weird thing because Toy Story 2 originally was just going to be a direct-to-DVD sequel that Disney was developing and wasn't going to be a part of their 3-picture deal. This was supposed to be like the third movie, but then Toy Story 2 came. Like they had to rework. There's all this complicated whatever bullshit. This is the first film of the Pixars to be directed by Pete Docter, who, of course, you mentioned, directed another one of our favorites, Up. It's got all the original like Pixar guys though, and all the original like story, but like it's the people who were there from Toy Story who worked on it. Andrew Stanton, who would go on to direct, Wall-E is directing, Toy Story 5 coming out in 2 years or whatever. Lee Unkrich, who was the co-director of this film, directs a bunch of these. John Lasseter, like I said, has his hand on it. So it's a very Pixar-led film. But of course, this is the first Pete Docter one.
Yeah, I think Pete Docter did Inside Out as well, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes, and Soul. So his directorials are Soul, which he co-directed. A lot of these are co-directed because they're animation. But Soul, Inside Out, and then this film and Up.
I mean, that's a pretty good run, if I say so myself. And I think all of these movies really are massive collaborations. I think that's why they switch up the titles of director and writer and stuff pretty consistently, just because I think everybody's got a hand in what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, Pete Docter, I think out of all the Pixar directors, he's probably my favorite. I don't love Up, if I'm being honest. Mad overrated. Maybe we'll cover that down the road. Good music though. But yeah, I think for him, I mean, this is a directorial debut. Pretty sick. Shout out to him.
Very impressive.
It's not easy to do.
Something else to talk about here. The title sequence of this movie is really fun. I love the intro title. And something that I found was interesting. I listened to, I didn't do it with the movie, but today while I was at work, I listened to the commentary track, and it had all those guys, Stanton and Critch and Pete Docter on it. And they talked about originally the movie just opens with the training sequence, and it kind of just set the tone wrong for them, where it was like going to be darker and you think the movie's scary. And they just were like, we added this fun little like graphic with the jazzy, Randy Newman music in the background, just to indicate, hey, this is a light, fun movie. Like, yes, these monsters can be scary, but this is about joy at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was 100% something I want to talk about too, because I feel like for movies in general, when you have like an opening credit scene like that, where, it's something different from what the actual opening is going to be, just, some random images and some music, I generally really, really dislike that. But for this movie, I love it. I mean, the music is so mofo good. It is unbelievable. It's definitely going to be in my good here coming up.
Oh, yeah.
But like the weird thing is, when I was thinking about just nostalgically on this movie, that's like the first thing I think of. It's just like those weird creepy crawlers going through the doors at the beginning, and the music just so on point throughout that. So I love that. And then transitioning right into the opening scene behind that, kind of the real opening scene, I think it's really cool to have kind of differing tones at the beginning of the movie. Obviously, like you said, it's the fake out training scene where you do understand more about, scarers and these monsters are just people. They're not born to scare mostly. Like it's, a trait you have to learn in school and stuff like that. So I think it good brings like good character development just to the world altogether of, these monsters aren't necessarily really bad people. It's just something they're trying to do, to survive and get energy. That's where Water News comes in and kind of, exposition dumps, which is always a classic. But I think just the combination of those two scenes is something really effective just with the changing tones.
And it's great because the training scene then gets like a callback at the end of the movie. You kind of get to see that twisted on its head as well. So it's a great setup. I think another thing they talk about is that they plan to like spend more time in that like training world and like focus more on that stuff. And they're like, yeah, we get it. Like we can move on to the actual, the meat and potatoes here.
That's what we got in the sequel, and it's garbage. So yeah,
true.
Good decision.
True.
Yeah,
very, very good point. In terms of saying the title Monsters Inc., they do say it quite a bit. It comes up. It's the title of where they work, Monsters Inc.
It's an easy roll credits pass for sure. I mean, I don't remember exactly when, but it's got to be within the first couple minutes, I would think, in the movie. So, and it might be one of the most said titles that we've ever done on KHAP, honestly, too. I should have had a counter going. Mistake on me there, but yeah, I mean, Monsters Inc. It's where they work. They breathe it. They live it. They love it. So definitely a good title, I think, altogether too.
Do you know what it's in reference to, that title, Monsters Inc., where that comes from?
I don't. I assume it's like some big energy corporation or something. No.
The 1960 film Murder Inc. It's a reference to that.
Okay. Is that a good flick? What's that about?
Never seen it. I mean, I think it's it's a 60s gangster movie that I don't think is very good, but it has a great title, Murder Inc.
I feel like they do make some references in this flick, and I had this somewhere later on the episode, but is it not a thing where they like make an Armageddon reference when they're like walking onto the floor, or is that just like a coincidence?
I was watching the movie last night and I was like, oh yeah, there's the Armageddon reference. And that's what I've always thought it was. And then I was listening to the commentary track and I was disproven. And this is, on us for not knowing our film history, but it's actually a reference to The Right Stuff, which is in the astronaut walk scene in that movie. And they said specifically like, yeah, a lot of young people always say they think it's the Armageddon scene, but it's not really a reference to that.
That's awesome. I think it's funny just because of that. So maybe they were going at different levels they didn't even know, but that's why this movie's only 4.5 stars for me right there. It's not an Armageddon reference. So come on, Pete. That's on you, man.
Gotta go watch The Right Stuff, Cody. That'll be next week. Last thing to talk about here in this category is just shorts related stuff it's kind of where I want to stick it. I remember when Katrina came on and we did our Ratatouille episode, she asked us, like our favorite Pixar shorts. And I wanted to like do the full experience and watch the short that was attached to this movie. Do you know which one it was?
So is it the one with the birds or is it
the birds? Yes.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite one.
For the birds,
To preface too, when I was growing up on like just like Apple or whatever, you could like download stuff. And I downloaded that short, The Bird, for like 99 cents because it was like my favorite one. But what was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I rewatched it today, and I mean, it is a cute, like, I don't know, it's a short, funny little thing where a bunch of birds end up naked, get all their feathers blown off.
They're all fighting for their spot on the weather line
comes in.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's cute. Like I like the noises they make. The little birds make these like crazy little, and then like the big bird kind of is human in a little bit. It's fun.
Oh, top tier. That's S tier right there. Pixar short. So shout out. There's also a short too of Mike buying his car.
Yes.
Which I think on the VHS was something that was like an extra or something. So I watched that a bunch too. And that's pretty solid too. I think that's, maybe my top 5, top 10. Maybe we should make like a rankings video.
Yeah, watch them on. Watch and rank.
I think isn't it called For the Birds? I think it's something like that, but elite.
For the Birds is the one that played before this. And then I did also watch that Mike's New Car literally right before we recorded. And I'm going to be honest, I was dying. Like I was laughing my ass off. I thought that was quite good. Just Mike gets sucked up into the engine of a car. It's good stuff.
What's not to love there? Yeah, I'm on board.
I'll get it. Whoa, sorry. Hello? What the fuck?
I meant to say this. I rethought of this. You were talking about not liking movies that open with like a different title sequence. Well, Cody, catch me if you can. got a banger
True.
title sequence. That's, you could. It's not like the movie is, but it gets you ready.
I probably said the same thing in that episode too, for being honest. So might have to rewind there, but I'm probably like, oh, I hate when movies do this, but this is really, really good.
These are the two exceptions that we
yeah
talked about so far that we can think
I'm
of.
sure give it a few more episodes, we'll come up with another too.
There's always an exception to the rule. That's the important thing.
If the movie's good, it is what it is, but I don't like it in general.
You care about execution. I will shout out, get ready, Cody. Gladiator 2 kind of has an opening like that. So
yeah, but is it like the Spider-Man movies where it's just like going over the first one again, or because I hate
How'd you know, Cody? How'd you know?
Like, we know it's a legacy sequel. Everybody's seen it. Like, we don't need that garbage. That pisses me off.
You gotta know what happens to Maximus, man. How are you gonna know?
I mean, spoiler alert, but I'm pretty sure he's dead. But...
Are you not entertained by this movie that you probably all watched before you walked in the theater? Whatever. Let's jump on over, Cody, to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Start with the good. I'll throw it over to you, Cody. What's the good stuff?
Yeah, so I got a good amount here, and we talked about it a little bit off the bat. I wanted to kick it off with talking about Randall, who I think probably is my favorite Pixar villain. You got Lotso Huggins Bear, whatever his name is from Toy Story 3, he's pure evil as well. So he's up there, but I mean Randall's sick. I mean, first off, just like powers wise, I've always been like a big invisibility guy. And then you add that to this, creepy crawling, salamander guy who can crawl on, the ceiling and stuff. Just really scary.
It's got a bad aura.
Yeah, you can't see this guy coming. And he also has a torture machine. So, I mean, not a great combination there of scariness. And then you kind of have offsetting that a little bit is like Steve Buscemi's voice again, who... Great voice, not like crazy recognizable. He's definitely doing something a little bit, deeper, different. He's not just being himself, like Seth Rogen in every movie. But I think he's brilliant. I think he nailed it all together. And like I said, from a villain perspective, I think the heroes are great in this. But if you throw in a really, cunning and just evil villain, I'm gonna eat it up. So I wanted to mention him off the bat for sure.
I got some thoughts about Randall in the bad, but like. He's just instantly dislikable as a character, and that's great for a villain.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi said, "Hey, you're typecasting me," when he saw what the character was going to look like. So shout out to him there. But
that's awesome.
He definitely fits. I've just always really hated Randall, and obviously like that's a testament to the role. But just like I almost hate him so much. I wish he wasn't in the movie. It's that bad.
Wow, for real.
A strong dislike.
That's a miss.
But I mean, that's a good thing on one hand. I'll throw out the music again, like Randy Newman. I think this might be just like one of my favorite scores of all time. It was nominated at the Oscars for Best Original Score and the Grammys. Lost both of those awards to Lord of the Rings, but it did win Best Original Song for the one that plays over the credits that Billy Crystal and John Goodman sing.
So good. Yeah. No, I think that's a great shout. That was on my list as well. Again, just Pixar ranking. It's top tier for me. I think it's got to be, either one or two. It's just like, it's not the most catchy or like memorable from a lyric standpoint, but just like the beats and the bops to it is undeniably great. So I guess Ferret lost to Lord of the Rings, but, in hindsight, I think the Academy messed up on that one for sure.
Yeah. It also lost Best Sound Editing to Pearl Harbor, which I guess shout out to it.
Shout out Michael Bay, man. I didn't know he had an Oscar. Wow.
It did win, though. I know we're jumping a little on the awards, but it did win the Kids' Choice Award for favorite voice in an animated movie. Shout out to Billy Crystal for that.
Deserved. That should be an Oscar win right there. Best Supporting Actor. I mean, who won in 02 or 03? Not better than Billy Crystal,
probably.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Other than that,
I'll say about Billy Crystal here. It's an interesting thing in the good. Obviously, like I said, they're great. They filmed them, like they let them actually film together, like record their lines together, which you can like really feel the energy. They needed them to feel like they were best friends. So like in a thing that they just didn't really do, and they still really don't do in animated movies, they were like, we'll put you guys in a sound booth and let you record together. They're able to play off each other, and then they're able to animate after the fact because they recorded all the dialogue in advance, which is great. And then also Billy Crystal turned down the role of Buzz Lightyear, and because like he did that and kind of regretted it, he was like, yes, instantly to Monsters Inc. He's like, I'm down for this.
That is interesting. I mean, I'm glad he did that because I don't know. I'm trying to just picture Billy Crystal in Buzz Lightyear's head, and he would really have to do just different.
And then does
voice
Tim
style.
Allen play Mike Wazowski? I don't think that works.
I want to see that supercut. Honestly, yeah, I'm on board. But yeah, I'm glad it worked out that way because I think this is the perfect choice for Billy Crystal. Obviously, maybe he would have done kind of similar stuff where he just goes off the cuff with Buzz, but I think Mike is the perfect choice for kind of him to do that, and that's kind of where I wanted to go into next. It's just like stupid, funny bits that I really, really enjoy. The one Billy Crystal line that just kills me for some reason. It's when they have Boo in the apartment or whatever, and he's trying to come up with ideas of how to get her out. And his one idea is he wants to use spoons to dig a tunnel under the city and just dump her in the park. I don't know why, but that just kills me every time. And like you're saying, I think everything with him, just because it's Billy Crystal, makes it funnier, but also just because he's kind of improvising and literally just doing commentary on the movie at times, I think makes it really, really fun.
Yeah, I love all the Mike Wazowski, like the magazine bit and the commercial bit at the beginning of the movie where he keeps getting blocked out. Like that's my favorite thing of all time is Mike Wazowski getting covered up by something and then still just like, oh my God, it's my big moment. All the stuff with him and Celia, like she's a great character. Their interactions are super fun. Billy Crystal's the best, man. He can do it all.
He's the GOAT. This is my favorite performance of him by far. Even though he's in The Princess Bride.
It's a small Princess Bride performance. That's the only problem. Not there for too long.
Yeah. So shout out the Crystal Man. Get him in more stuff. Why isn't he working more in animation?
I think he's just fucking chilling, bro. I think he's rich. He's sat up in a mansion somewhere hanging. So
I respect. But other than that, a couple other funny things I wanted to mention. First off, just this like SWAT team for the CDA. I think is really, really fun.
CDA is the best. Well, they're not a good organization, but I love the CDA.
They hate socks, that's for sure. So shout out to them. Also, obviously, just a clear rip off of the CIA, which is great commentary. And like the SWAT team entrance at the beginning just kills me for some reason of them just coming down from the rafters because there's some child's sock as contaminated.
2319.
Classic. And also too, once they get the sock off of the guy, they literally just blow it to smithereens. Yeah, like that's some intense stuff.
The intricacy of the screwing the thing on there, blowing it. Like that like is so ingrained in my head. Like I feel like I've seen that scene a million times in my life.
It's like something from the Hurt Locker or something.
It's intense, dude.
Hey, they did it well, but I do feel bad for the guy who keeps getting shaved. I couldn't remember. Is it like
I'll shout about later. Don't worry.
Okay. Shout out to that guy, but I feel bad for him.
George Sanderson, please remain motionless. Prepare for decontamination.
Oh, not the CDA.
Coming through, please. Stand aside. Clear the contaminated area. This is a 2319 in progress. The area is clear. Coming through. Watch yourself. Stand back. Careful. All clear. Situation is 990. Ready for decon.
Hey, thanks, guys. That was a close one.
Okay.
And also too, like the reveal at the end with the CDA of my girl Roz. I'm always watching. She was always watching undercover
I don't like that. That's
love
in the
that.
bad for me. Roz being an undercover agent is a flaw.
What a reveal!
We
What
don't
a
need
third act reveal in an animated flick. Script. I mean, you can't really argue with that. I don't think so. Love Roz, and yeah, her connection to this, CIA. I guess doesn't make too much sense, but still a great reveal at the end. I think, regardless. And then the thing I really really love too, and it transitions to the really awesome finale in the third act, is them getting abandoned with the abdominal snowman. I think he's awesome. Just the one-liner of "Welcome to the Himalayas," and then a cut, and then a few moments later, snow cones, anybody? And they're yellow snow cones. It's just like, man, nobody's eating that crap. So, John Ratzenberger, shout out to the guy. I mean, he's got an
Had to make an
iconic
appearance.
voice. Yeah, and I think that was perfect casting on that end. But I love that character. Also, Ratzenberger, I believe, voices my background, Tony, the grocery guy.
No,
Does he not? It sounds just like him.
I don't have the guy's name, but it is a real Italian man. I think it was like
He must have been
it's
doing
somebody
a
who's like,
impression.
it's some guy. No, it's because they kept saying they were like, we had a couple of people try out the voice, like doing a fake Italian impression, like, and they do the thing at Pixar where it's just like they have people who are working on the movie do temp tracks, and sometimes they're like, hey, fuck it, we'll just leave you in the movie.
Yeah.
And this one they kept trying out, and then finally they were like, oh yeah, this guy who's a storyboard artist or whatever, who's actually Italian, came in and did it, and it worked perfectly.
Well, shout out to him. I mean, those characters are awesome, but the Abdominal Snowman, I think, is almost the peak of the movie for me. I think maybe the door swinging chase at the end, more iconic and just a lot more thrilling. And I think that's the thing I remember most from the movie is them swinging around from door to door, which is so much fun. But the build up with the Abdominal Snowman, I can't say that word either. Is it abominable? No,
abominable.
Abominable. Yeah, I super got that because I can't say it, but I think he's awesome, and that really just leads into the third act, which I think is near perfection for me.
Listen, I do Duolingo Italian, but no one call me out here for what I'm about to say. Guido Caroni is this guy's name. Guido Caroni, and he was the sequence supervisor, simulation and effects on this film, and then has just production engineering team lead on Wall-E, senior technology team on Brave, senior technology team. Like he's worked on basically like every Pixar movie of the last 21 years. Like he worked on Luca as a cultural trust. Oh, shout out to him.
That makes sense.
He was the cultural guy for Luca.
He was like, it's finally my moment in Italian film. I got stuck with playing stupid grocery guys before, but Tony is a dog. Shout out Tony. But good for this guy, man. I mean, he kind of got his big break in a sense and didn't even realize it. So that is pretty cool.
That and the Abominable Snowman, those two things are exactly what I wanted to talk about. And you mentioned it at the beginning, like the world building is just so complex. Whether it's this entire scene when they're walking through and you see the Italian grocery store guy, you see them jumping rope with a tongue, a guy sneezes at the fire, a guy's eating trash. There's a fucking giant dude who's like 50 feet tall. Just like all that stuff. And then with the fact that the Loch Ness Monster and the Abominable Snowman and all these creatures were real and were banished from their world, and we get to see the Abominable Snowman for real. And then stuff like the cologne being different bad smells like wet dog and dumpster and smelly garden, just like everything that is monster world building. I think this movie does to a T. I think Pixar's so great at that, at expanding out and focusing on the details. But this one is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said off the top, it's almost like every single crazy idea that they had was like, yeah, throw it in. Like that's perfect for this world. So really creative and really fun throughout.
I mean, that's the thing that you can tell so many people worked on this. Like you can feel that so many artists had their hands on it, and there was people who just cared about the little details in the background. And it's like, yeah, they cut corners where every kid's room is basically the same, and they just like turn them a little bit. Like there's some things that they have to do cheaply to save money, but like the detail where it matters is so important, and this movie does it perfectly.
I definitely agree. And I mean, kind of like I said in the opening too, but I think a really awesome thing is at the same time with all these different factors, this movie still has a ton of heart. I mean, the character relationship between Boo and Sully is one that's a tearjerker, I think, for a lot of people. And then also I think a really cool thing at the end of the movie is just like the overall development of this company and maybe Monsters as a whole, of going from, having to get screams for energy versus going to a laugh factory, which I think is just such a cool turn. And for kind of monsters who, like I said at the beginning, like they don't really want to do this. They just have to survive in a sense. For them to kind of adapt and really kind of just be good people, I think it's just a really good message for a kids movie too.
Listen, it came out in November 2001. That's all I'll say right now.
Yeah.
It came out in November 2001, and it's a movie about like joy being more powerful than fear. Like 100% joy being more powerful than things that you're afraid of. And it comes down to like the monsters are equally afraid of the little kids. And there's all the complexities of that. And like, they just, because of a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding, like they don't even ever have the ability to know that like, hey, laughter is the real source of power. Like they think they're stuck in this box of like, we have to scare these kids. And this is the only solution. And I love that the message that this takes is like how powerful joy can be and how powerful it can be. And, you know, obviously like that can be silly, but like, this is a kid's movie and that's important to share that. And then again, like the politics of like the energy stuff and, you know, yes, you're going to use like torturing kids as an analog for just like drilling into the ground and like pumping everything out of our, you know, fucking earth that is like a young child that we need to protect.
Good symbolism. Yeah, I see it. I love it. I think the commentary is just on point with everything else, kind of with the world building and stuff. So I agree. The only other thing I wanted to talk about too, is there a better action sequence in an animated movie? You know, with the finale, with the door swingings and them running all around. I think that's just undefeated in my eyes, really.
They estimated it would be like 36 million doors is how many they would need to like actually have all the kids in the world or something. And it is just like incredibly impressive, this door vault. Like they do a good job of capturing, like, sorry, somebody yelled. They do a good job of like capturing the vastness of what this needs to be. And then it feels like a roller coaster ride. It's like, why isn't, if they replace Muppet Vision 3D with the door ride, maybe I'd be okay with it, because this needs to be a roller coaster ride for sure.
Yeah, true. I'm a big coaster guy. That's easy money. What are we doing, Disney? You're missing out there. But yeah, that was most of my good. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
I mean, last thing we gotta say is Boo. She's so cute, dude. Like,
yeah,
she is adorable. She's incredible. Her and Sully, like you said, it's a little tear jerking at the end. Their interactions. The scene when he thinks like she gets crushed up into the cube is one of my favorites in the movie. And I learned today that that's like an homage to this 1960s Warner Brothers cartoon called Feed the Kitty, which I did watch as well, about this like dog whose name is Mark Anthony. A bulldog named Mark Anthony like finds, I know, it's crazy. A bulldog named Mark Anthony finds a little kitten outside and then like falls in love with it, obviously, because it's an adorable little kitten, and brings it inside. And then he thinks his owner bakes the cat into a cookie. Like he thinks it gets into the flour and somehow gets baked. Like, okay, sure, whatever. So then he like cries, and then the kitten's just there, and like that's the whole 7-minute short. But 1952 Warner Brothers, Feed the Kitty, that was based on. But I love the reference there, and then it plays out well in the movie.
Yeah, a lot of references to old stuff nobody's ever seen, so shout out to them. But maybe that would go in my bad. I was thinking about including that scene somewhere, but it's okay. It's kind of, you know, overplaying it. It's kind of just like, if you're a kid too, you're like, oh wow, like this is like some dark stuff. You know, there's just this girl in a cube, and that's what he thinks. So
it's priming you up for the end of Toy Story 3. Getting ready for that. And it doesn't let it linger too long. It doesn't linger too long on making.
Yeah, it's okay. I would cut that scene though. Get it out.
Let's jump over to the bad, Cody. What else do you have other than cutting that scene?
Yeah, so I don't have too much. My big thing, actually, we can start off with that, is we mentioned Celia already. I do think that she's a good character, but I just think she's very, very underdeveloped. I mean, she's got that great Medusa, you know, style hair with, you know, the snakes or whatever. But unless like those snakes count as talking to each other, I mean, this movie comes nowhere near passing the Bechdel test.
Right. You've got like your other female character, Roz, who's voiced by a man.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, so not great. And it's like, it's a monster world with no women. Like, how are we reproducing in this world? Yeah. Well, I don't know how any of these monsters are made. We probably don't need to get into that, to be fair. So that's just a gripe that isn't really relevant. But yeah, I kind of just wish that, we got more of her backstory. Maybe throw her in the third act with the doors and stuff. Just include her more, because I think every time she's on screen, I really do enjoy her presence. And obviously her interactions with Mike is really fun. But just wanted more of her, really, was my big thing.
Originally, they had planned for like Mike to be proposing to her, and that was going to be like the engagement dinner. Like he was going
Yeah,
to do that.
I feel like I remember that as a kid. So maybe it just got cut, in post here, but
And
or
you're
maybe
right,
I saw the
Mandela
director's cut
affecting,
or
yeah.
something.
Well,
Yeah.
they said they originally were going to do that, but then they were like, we want Boo to be the rift between Sully and Mike and not be like, oh, these guys are kind of already being pulled apart. So that's the thing. They have
Yeah.
this, they want Mike and Sully to be the sole duo. And they're like, well, if Mike has Celia, if Mike and Celia are too close, then it kind of ruins that. So they're keeping her to the side, but then also they're like, we want her to have a big moment at the end. And I agree, she's definitely underdeveloped. Also, like they were gonna do like a bit with her like having frozen her ex-boyfriends. So, like Mike was gonna be really scared of her, and bring in the real Medusa backstory. Let's get some rock hard what rock hard ex-boyfriends.
Pause. I'm down for that. Yeah, give me a flashback to some Medusa action. I think that would make everything better. And I guess I mean that would be hard to animate, which kind of is another thing I want to talk about too. Is I mean, some of this animation doesn't
It's a
hold
little
up the
dated.
best. Yeah, especially I feel like it feels like it's green screeny, which obviously I know the whole thing is animated, but it's just like the background sometimes when they're walking around Monsters Inc. It's just like it kind of doesn't look great. But I mean, obviously very early Pixar. The first Toy Story, I don't think looks very good anymore when you watch it today either. And they were exploring a new medium, so these guys worked their ass off to make this look great. But by today's standards, I'm going to be a prick and say, yeah, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah, I mean some of the backgrounds are literally just like matte paintings, which is obviously like an old school filmmaking thing that they, again, to save money. It's early and Pixar wasn't the huge. Obviously, it had its hits, but it wasn't what it had become. So like they're still trying to cut some corners, save some money. They're spending a shit ton of time to render all the fur. If we're gonna make the background a static image, like
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do. I
The
still think it
fur-
looks good, but
Yeah.
it is dated.
Yeah, the fur looks great though. The fur is insane, I think. We missed that in the good because for when this movie was made, I think that is really the standout of the best animation in this flick.
And I think I do agree. Like, I think the fur looks great, and it's one of those things where it's like, this movie was the first time we ever were to animate it in this specific way and do the fur like this. But it's like, fur is one of the things that I feel like we've come really far on in animation, like just pure data capabilities. Like, they're able to animate thousands of more particles, and when they're doing stuff like they're just able to render more. The capabilities are larger. So like, fur is something that if they did a Monsters Inc. today, it would look like even 100 times better. So sometimes when you watch new stuff, you can kind of be a little put off by it.
Yeah, I mean, all Planet of the Apes.
I mean,
puts this to shame.
Well, yeah, Planet of the Apes obviously live actions, but those are basically it's not too far off from Pixar actually, because like they're both computer animated films at the end of the day. But like even the Wild Robot, which is obviously hand painted, to me is like a good example of like how intricate and depth and textured you can get today with the look of things, with the look of fur. It's just you have so much more capabilities.
I mean, just better technology, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Puss in Boots,
not even really great. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but animation will continue to evolve, and this was the very early stages. So shout out to him regardless. I have a couple of small things, but I want to hear some of your bad.
I definitely did have the dated animation on there. Listen, Randall's power doesn't really make sense because the thing is like
Okay.
he turns invisible, but what if I take a step to the right? Like it's really like an angle thing because he copies the background, but it's like if I look at it from the other side, what's going on? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, it never really crossed my mind, honestly, but I mean, you're probably right. The thing is, he really only needs, well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's like reflecting from all sides.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
it's like a predator thing.
It's like Agents of Shield, where they put on the camo mode and
Cloaking device.
Yeah, it's literally just them kind of reflecting light off of it, and then that's what you see. So I'm sure it's some sort of optical illusion, but yeah, maybe we need to do a deep dive on Randall's powers because the more I think about it, the less it makes sense for sure.
I'm just being nitpicky, honestly. Like,
Oh,
you
you
know,
have
it's
to.
a
You
little
have to
thing.
in this movie. Yeah.
Another thing is like, and they said they had to make a conscious choice to just not do this, but like Boo is giggling a lot throughout the movie, and it doesn't usually have an effect on the power. But then, obviously, like laughter does cause power surges. So you're like, where do you draw the line? There's definitely some times where it's like, she's pretty joyful right now, and it's not in fact affecting the environment because it would just be too much.
Especially like when he's chasing around in the bathroom and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of laughing going on there, and I don't think the lights got any brighter or anything like that. So
it's like a story. It's like one of the things where like realistically we just have to like fudge the numbers a little bit here to make it work, and it's part of the great authentic performance that Mary Gibbs provides. She's like a real little kid that they just like followed around with a microphone and we're like, hey, what can we get you to say and what noises can we get you to make? Like, you know, you're not going to tell her to not giggle and have fun, right? Like it's supposed to be a joyful performance, but you can't make the lights go off every single time.
Yeah, they knew they struck gold when they got the kitty sound bit for sure. But I think that's her only line of dialogue, really, right?
She says boo. Like the only real words she say is kitty, boo, and Mike Wazowski. Like those are the only things, and then everything else is that weird in between. Like, are you saying words? Like little kid? Hey man, language is powerful. Children are amazing creatures. Things that they are capable of. But she was 2.5 when they started filming this, and then they did the recordings over a course of a period, because the movie took a while to make. But she's a real little kid and daughter of a storyboard artist on the movie. All the little kid voices were just like, hey, who can record their kid for this scene?
Who's got a kid?
Child labor.
Shut up. Yeah, I think those are both good nitpicks. One other one I'll throw in here too. What's up with this fungus character? This little red guy who's Randall's sidekick. Just bad vibes, man.
You know who voices Fungus?
I do actually. Yeah. Shout out Frank Oz, Yoda himself, who I do like a lot. But he's got too many eyes. He's this little red guy who will just do anything Randall says. So and he turns on him at the end. Come on, man. Not a big fan.
I'm anti-Fungus as well. They also pulled in Buscemi and Frank Oz and were like, hey, you guys get in the room together. I don't think it really comes through in the same way.
They're like, hey, Buscemi, be a dick to this guy. It's like, no, I love Yoda, man. So, yeah, good chemistry, I guess.
You do, like, you can hear a little bit of, like, that sounded a little like Yoda there.
I didn't get too much of a hint, but I feel like I don't really know what Frank Oz even sounds like normally talking. So, I guess we found out this movie, but he's okay.
This movie doesn't fit the continuity of Monsters University. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna call that out.
Continuity warrior.
If you're gonna make a stupid sequel or a prequel to your movie,
it is a prequel. Yeah, I call it a sequel. Earlier,
don't have the whole thing be like, oh, you were jealous of my looks since 4th grade and we've been friends forever, and then make it about how they met in college.
Yeah,
stupid.
That is true. I mean, you got to at least
you're retroactively like
from the
material. This movie.
Yeah. You're making this movie worse, which it's really hard to do. So I agree with that. Like I said, I think just Monsters University could have its own category of bad. But yeah, garbage. Don't even want to think about it. The last thing I had, and it's not even bad. I just stuck in here because I didn't really know. Water Noose, the guy who voices him. I don't know if you're aware of this, Corbin, but he's also he's kind of the bad guy in Sister Act 2, back in the Habit. So shout out to him. That's all I got. Bad guy in the bad category, but he's in Sister Act 2. So.
Didn't know he was in Sister Act 2. John something, right? What's his name?
Yeah, I don't even know. He plays like
names, man. James Coburn, of course.
Yeah, James Coburn. He's got a great picture on Letterboxd too. But yeah, he's trying to sell the school in Sister Act 2. He's just a good villain. But yeah,
passed away not long after the release of this movie. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he was old too. So. That's probably why they didn't want to do a sequel. They didn't have anybody to replace him for Water News. So.
They had to go back and go prequel. They said we got to go into the past. And I mean, of course, like another bullshit thing about this movie is like, you really think the feds would come in and arrest this guy right away? Like, come on. He'd be paying him off. It would take a couple of weeks to mount the case, get the charge like that. This is how it works in the real world.
That's why Roz was undercover though. She was in it from the beginning, just waiting.
Water Noose walks free in America.
He's watching. Well, yeah, we didn't see his court date, so he probably did if we're being honest. But,
he probably became president and then immunity.
Tough.
Let's jump over to the ugly. Cody.
Speaking of ugly, yeah.
Speaking of, let's do the big ugly thing. John Lasseter, bad guy. Like, obviously, he's just the executive producer on this film. He's like CEO of Pixar for a long time. Leaves the company in 2017, 2018 after he's outed for basically just a lot of like sexual misconduct at the office, sexual harassment, hugging people, being what was described as missteps with employees, grabbing, kissing, making comments to people. Apparently, like he would at different points have like a handler who would like try and like stop him from being too creepy. And he fucking got like another job at Skydance a couple years ago, and now is leading that animation or whatever. Just obviously like a big stain on the legacy of a lot of these early Pixar movies, and definitely something to talk about here. But yep, Lotso Huggin' Bear, Cody. You know who he's based on?
Is he really?
That guy loves hugging.
Brutal. I didn't know that. That's great trivia piece, actually. But yeah, I did know a little bit about Lasseter. Just a creepy guy, like kind of just the last kind of type of guy you want to have in like an office setting like that too. It's kind of tough. He was such an integral part of, especially early on at Pixar. I think, did he direct Cars? I think maybe that's right. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like they all rotated out. It's like who was going to be the producer, the writer, who was going to direct this one, be the lead on this project. And yeah, it's just power imbalances, taking advantage of people who work for you and just being like, let's hug and be creepy. Not good at all. And thankfully, he's obviously no longer there, and now he's just making fucking Wish or whatever the hell that, not Wish, whatever the hell that movie, the dumb Luck, that's what it was, the Skydance Apple movie. You know that one?
I don't think so. I know Wish. That looked pretty bad.
It's like The Lady in the Black Cat. It came out 2 years ago.
Actually. Yeah, I don't check out too much of Skydance. I think J.J. Abrams, that's like his stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. This is what John Lasseter's up to now. It's got Simon Pegg and Eva Noblezada as the leads. Whoopi's in it too, though. So there you go.
Shout out Sister Act. It comes back around. But yeah, Big Ugly there. That was the top of my list as well. Other than that, I mean, there's one thing that I think is pretty messed up in here, and it's a character we haven't talked about yet. It's the octopus sushi chef at the restaurant. First off, I mean, this guy's a dog. Him and my background, Tony of the grocery, they got the moving arms. They got the moves, I think, that are really cool. But I mean, he's chopping up. What is he chopping up?
Right.
Is it octopus? Is it fish? Not really specified. I think there's some sort of cannibalism going on here, and I don't support it. So I think that's my massive ugly here.
In the hierarchy of the Pixar Monsters Inc. universe, like, are there just little fish monsters that are maybe not as like, where do you draw, like, what is acceptable to eat? I do agree, Cody, because obviously we see giants. So like, you have to imagine they're small monsters, but are there just regular fish in this world? Probably not.
Yeah, maybe they go through like the human world indoors and they fish through there. I don't know how they really eat or even farm. We don't see any farmers, so maybe we wanted more world building, which is fun. But I think also that big monster guy. I could be wrong. I thought his name was Rex, but I could be wrong. And I think it's a reference to Toy Story, low-key, but maybe that's incorrect. But yeah, I mean, the whole eating, even reproducing. There's a lot of questions with this world that we don't really need answers to. But I think that's just tough if you're making this guy, cut up octopus to hand out to a bunch of different people. So just a bad look, I think.
I think you're right. That is Rex, maybe.
Yeah. So maybe this is just like maybe the monster world is really small, and then they use the door as a transport.
Because there's like an outtake. There is like a real outtake that exists where it's like you can see Sully and them with Rex. I don't know if that is Rex, but Rex, there is a Rex connection to Monsters.
Yeah. I think it's just a fun reference, but yeah, that was my big one. My other one too, going back to Water Noose. I mean, just the quote of, "I'd kidnap 1,000 children to save this company." Just tough look, and yeah, you can compare characters, in real world for sure, especially these days. But I thought that line was pretty tough, especially for the climax of the film.
Definitely not good. Speaking of the sushi restaurant, Harryhausen is a reference. Cody, we love our references to Ray Harryhausen, old school 1960s stop motion animator. He was doing like Jason and the Argonauts, First Men in the Moon, just
Oh.
like tons of shit.
Nice.
And that's what Harryhausen is supposed to be. The Pixar theory, you know about that, Cody?
Yeah, of course. The
I hate
theory
the Pixar
that
theory. Fuck the
all
Pixar
Pixar movies are connected in one big universe. I think this one is, makes it a lot tougher, for sure, as an outlier.
I think this is like, though, part of like, this is like the crux of the Pixar theory.
I
though,
guess,
because they
but, like-
believe that like Boo grows up into
Yeah.
the witch of Brave, and there's the whole, you obviously see the Jessie doll and the Nemo in her toys at the end. But I think that's stupid. We don't need to fucking MCU-fy the Pixar world.
You're all right. The big thing is Boo is Merida's mother, who ends up being the bear character in Brave, because where she lives and stuff, there's like drawings of bears and Sully. There's a reference to like Sully that's just an Easter egg, and then these nerds got to take it whatever direction they want. But again, like Cars.
They just love their references, dude.
The explanation for Cars is either way before this timeline or way after, and it's some sort of post-apocalyptic thing in between Wall-E somewhere in there too. So, yeah, I'm not on board, but there's some good YouTube videos. You can definitely kill some time.
I mean, shout out to all the people who have enough time to think about these things.
It's fun. I mean, I love theorizing about movies, but at some point, once we have 50 Pixar films, it probably doesn't line up too well.
It's definitely it's become harder and harder to connect.
But when you only have 10, it's not that hard. So shout out to him. But yeah, I'm off the Pixar.
Is it like A113? Is that the thing that pops up in like that's the room number that all of them
that's cool.
The classroom there they all went to school. It doesn't appear in Monsters Inc. though. So
it does not?
No, that's what Google just told me.
I'd be the only one, honestly. Because I feel like it's everywhere.
It's in Monsters University though, so they got it back.
Fuck's sake.
Jesus. Anything else for ugly, Cody?
That's all my ugly.
You already said the lemon snow cone thing, so we don't have to rehash that. But weird joke.
True.
Yellow snow cones. They're just yellow. Don't worry.
Rip.
Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the episode. You can follow the rest of our happenings over here at Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at KHAP Podcasts, KHAP Podcast. Please follow us on Spotify, give us a rating, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow along for more.
And we're back with Welcome to the Academy.
I'm going for the Oscar this year.
Let's get started with the actual Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This was the very first one that this competed for. Do you know the other two movies that were nominated?
In what was
It
this?
did not
01,
win.
02? It did not win.
No.
Must have been something good. Something Disney in the early 2000s. I feel like Disney in the early 2000s is really bad. I have no idea.
So it's Shrek.
Okay.
And then the other one you were never going to get. It's Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Love that. Jimmy Neutron's got a nom out here. Good for him. But yeah, Shrek, that makes sense because DreamWorks was dominating, I feel like, around this time. And I mean, Shrek, I don't know. I would personally pick, Monsters Inc. over that. But I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those, really.
Yeah, I do love Shrek, but I think Shrek 2 is better. So
would you pick Monsters Inc. over?
Yeah, I would definitely take Monsters Inc. as the winner here.
It's a bold take from you. I feel like you're a big Shrek guy.
And then the award I do want to give this movie is Best Pixar World. Like of all the Cars world, the Bugs Life, the fishes, and Finding, like to me, the Monsters Inc. We talk about world building. Like this is the best one they've ever created. And it stood the test of time for me.
I agree too. I've been talking about it a ton, and it's top tier stuff, especially for animation. So I'm on board. My awards I wanted to hand out here. The first one, shout out Boo, altogether, but I think she may have the best just pure baseball swing for any kid her age.
Chicken Little?
In a movie. I think Chicken Little's a little older, isn't he?
I guess that's true.
He can at least form some sentences. And also he's terrible at baseball. But, Boo with the baseball bat is lethal. Her at the end on Randall just going ham. Get her in the big leagues already. Maybe her actual, she's not in Brave because that's bullshit. Maybe she's in a league of her own. Maybe she's one of those characters because she's got a hell of a swing. So big baseball guy, and yeah, Boo should be if she's not. Shout out to her swing.
Yeah, her fighting Randall would have also been a great background. She kicks some ass there at the end.
True. And then my other one too, which I'll throw out, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think it's like the best use of commentary of like, oh, kids are desensitized to violence. Because I feel like you see that bullshit so much in movies, especially around this time, like early 2000s when video games were becoming a lot more prominent. I just don't like that trope. But to actually use it as like a thing in the monster world of why it's causing them issues, I think it's just a really cool plot point. So I think any movie I've seen, that's the best use of that trope by far.
I mean, I think the way it integrates into the real world is extremely effective. Even just like going from, okay, Toy Story, okay, your toys come alive when you leave the room. That's something that everyone wants to believe is true. What's the other thing when you're a kid? Oh yeah, there's a monster in your closet. Like that's a real thing. And then now where do we expand from there? And it does an incredible job. And like you said, like making it feel timely of which, it's every generation's kids are fucking, too desensitized or whatever. But, it's causing them alleged problems at the old Monsters Inc.
It is everywhere. So at least they did it well.
The last award I want to give this movie, and we already talked about the scene a little bit, the obviously big chase scene at the end, but I want to give this the best globe-trotting fight, I guess I'll call it. So just the jumping through the different doors to the different countries, and fuck Doctor Strange and his portals, man. Monsters Inc. does it best. This is where it's at, dude.
I agree. Like I said, I mean that door sequence at the end is just unbelievable, and the use of the doors kind of to transport around the world is so fun. I mean, you go all over the place. You go to France, you go, to the Himalayas.
Why? Yeah, you hit them all.
You go to, trailer parks in the swamp.
Japan, they're like, oh yeah, we got to slide this, not push.
Yeah, so good. I love that too.
All right, let's jump over to Invite, Fight, Night.
You gotta be my podcast.
You want to fight, dickless?
Wow, thanks. My knight in shining armor.
Who do you want to invite on the pod?
So I do want to invite Boo, but obviously I kind of just want a little bit older Boo, which maybe they'll do a sequel down the road. I don't know why they haven't done it yet, but give me, how old do you think Boo is? I don't know, like 3, 4 around here?
Yeah,
5?
I would say, she's 3 or 4, yeah.
Somewhere in that range. Give me Boo, like when she's 15. I want to hear kind of her stories, what she remembers about this, because I feel like it's a lot of craziness, and when you're that small too, I feel like a lot of that stuff gets convoluted. And I just want to hear about kind of her relationship with Sully and Mike kind of as the years go on. I think that'd be a really interesting podcast bringing her on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised they haven't done the like so obvious Boo's an adult now and she doesn't like remember her monster kid, like, and they've got to like reconnect. She has her own kid, like whatever. Like I'm sure that's coming.
Legacy sequel. Oh, it's on the way eventually. Yeah,
we're writing it right here. My invite. I did think about Boo, but aging her up would help. But having a little fucking mumbling 3-year-old maybe isn't great podcasting. We've already got 2 idiots here. Barely
two people who can't talk anyways. Yeah.
I'll take Roz though, because she is always watching. She
love that.
Regrettably is a part of the CDA, but she's got the intel. If we want to know something about Monsters Inc. world, this is the person we want to interview.
No, I agree. I mean, especially since she's behind the scenes, we don't hear that much from her, even when the reveal happens. It's kind of just wrapping everything up. So I think an in-depth of her undercover activity would be a good one as well.
Who do you want to fight, Cody?
This one was a bit tougher for me. I feel like most of these characters are fairly likable. I had Mike in this spot originally, but I can't do that to him. He's such a good guy. So I ended up
you just want to kick him. Like,
he's
puntable. He's like the little kid that we talked about in the ring. Like he's puntable, man.
I went for another small guy. I went for Fungus, kind of for the same reasons.
All right, you stay. Me too.
He is very, very bootable, I would say. And again, he kind of just goes along with Randall, no questions asked. He does get like the torture machine put on at the end, so I feel a little bit bad. But I'll double down, and yeah, Fungus deserves it for sure.
Yeah, Fungus like doing the Kylie Jenner lip thing at the end of the movie is a great bit.
That's a TikTok. That's a TikTok right there.
Mike is better to bounce as a basketball. Randall or Fungus is better to drop kick. So
okay,
we should drop kick.
He's more of like a rugby style ball,
right? Yeah, or maybe we could do like some field goals. I guess we could do a place kick. 30 yarder.
Fungus field goal kicking contest. Yeah, I'm on board.
But yeah, easy fight there, 100%. And it's just like you're not even like Randall's just evil. You're just his crony. Like even if you turn on, like I don't know, you're just what are you doing, man? Be smarter. Be
just
better.
the useless sidekick. Yeah, I'm on board. Who's your knight? I think I know who it is, but
it's George Sanderson. Is his name George the sock guy?
What did I call him? I called him Doug. I called him Doug.
Yeah. He goes through it. He gets shaved. He gets fucking waxed. He gets medical showered it, and then he gets it again at the end. It's not good for George. So
it's over and over. Yeah, he's got a cone on the entire time. I mean, just feel for the guy. And I mean, he didn't even do anything. He just had a sock on him. So pretty tough.
I will say medically, I think their solution is to like stick a cone on every person in the society, because you also see at the end of the movie, Celia is coned up with all of her snakes in cones. So it's just weird standard medical procedure, I guess.
Well, she was contaminated too at the sushi restaurant.
So, yeah,
gotta stick. They don't really. On them. There's no real doctors, I don't think, in this universe either, which is a problem.
There are monsters.
There are a lot. That's a great pick. My pick, probably fairly obvious as well. I'm going with my boy Tony. Just so lovable. Such a.
What are you buying? When you go to that store, like what kind of stuff are they selling? What are you getting? Do you think they have a deli? You get a sandwich in the back?
I'll take a sandwich. I mean, I'll take anything Tony recommends. I mean, this guy's got the meanest mustache in the game. He's got these long arms, so he can kind of, mix and match, a really good combo for me too. And just a nice guy, man, all around. So shout out Tony. I want him to get his like little mini spin-off. I think that'd be really fun, but I just want more from this guy altogether because he's a real dog.
100%. He's one of our greatest working class individuals. Let's jump over to the recast, Cody.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Because I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Hey, I'm Batman.
No, dude. No, I'm Batman.
Bill Murray was an almost cast. I always got to give you the almost. So he even, I think, did like a voice screen test, whatever recording thing. And they kind of liked it. This is for the Billy Crystal, Mike Wazowski role.
Okay.
For the record. Okay. Or no, sorry. This is
Sully.
This is for Sully.
Okay.
Sorry. Bill Murray was trying not to be Sully. And they then reached out to him and they just like couldn't get a hold of him, which is like a notorious Bill Murray thing that he would do in the 90s, where it's like, he seemed like he wanted to do it when we talked to him, but now who knows where Bill is. So then they moved on to John Goodman, and I think they're for the better for it.
Yeah, I think.
Would you prefer Murray?
I think I do prefer Goodman, probably. Like, he just got that stronger voice where he's a bit scarier. Bill Murray's just he's the laid back Bill Murray. Like, kind of even what you're saying, it would have made sense if he was kind of in the Mike Wazowski role too, being the quippy, fun guy. But I think Johnny Goodman's really good. We haven't talked about him a ton, but just like the presence and the strong, nature of his voice, I think fits really well for Sully.
Yeah, he's got to play the like quarterback, likable kind of like big dog figure. And
All American.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Goodman, I think is better. I think he can play the likable a little bit better than Bill Murray. I think
he'd be too. Bill Murray's kind of hateable too. Just his voice. I love Bill Murray, but yeah, he pisses me off sometimes.
They got him to do Garfield though, so it all worked out. He got to be a furry boy.
He should have ghosted him on that one instead of this one. But
before I give my one cast, who do you actually want to see in the movie?
Yeah, so I have a couple fun ones, I think. And first off, I did want to replace Water News, which, like we said, whatever his name is, Jimmy
Coburn.
from Sister Act 2. Good guy, but not as memorable or as iconic, I think, as it could have been. And I'm going to throw out some real obvious ones here because, I mean, this is like the easiest role to cast ever. What about James Earl Jones, guys? I mean, easy. What about Anthony Hopkins? Easy. What about Morgan Freeman? I mean, these are just obvious mainstays who were, really, really working.
Three people that probably would all say no to that. I'm going to be honest.
Well, but if that happened, that makes sense that it came all the way back to Jimmy. But I mean, James Earl Jones, come on, bro. That would have been insane. He's probably tired of doing, The Lion King, which was pretty close to this. So fair enough. But I know Anthony Hopkins wasn't doing anything good. Just shitty Silence of the Lambs sequels. So he was definitely available.
Yeah, I think he was filming Hannibal or something.
Mid.
I like James. I mean, James Earl Jones is the most obvious there. I think it.
But that's every voice role ever. I mean,
I don't like Anthony Hopkins. I think.
Whoa, clip that.
For
we're sending
water
that to
news. It doesn't,
Anthony.
it's not water news. It doesn't work.
Yeah, fair enough. Who's your recast?
Willem Dafoe as Randall. Let's go full credit.
I mean, that's great. I mean,
Steve Buscemi, like he's a slippery guy. You don't get me wrong there, but if you want villainous, Willem Dafoe is the man you call.
are they in any movies together? I need like them being brothers in a movie because I never thought about them together, but they really do like I feel like look and sound similar. So I think that's a great pick. I mean, put Willem in any role in this movie, and I'm not going to say no. So
They have not been in a movie together, but the film Animal Factory, which is the 2000 neo-noir movie, was directed by Steve Buscemi and stars Willem Dafoe.
That's awesome. Yeah, get Buscemi behind the camera more too. I love that. But yeah, I mean, the word slippery there, I think, is the key. Both of those guys are very slippery. So I'm on board. That may be the best casting of the year for you, honestly. Even though Buscemi's great. And the only other one I want to replace too is Celia. I don't even know who did her original voice, but didn't do much past this. I was thinking like a really basic one, but a pretty good one would be Kristen Wiig in the modern age. I think she would fit that role pretty dang well. And then even going even moderner, what about Rachel Sennett? I think she would be really fun in this too. So those are my two picks for Celia.
Kristen Wiig with like one of those earpiece microphones that Celia, like I just feel like I've seen that. I don't know what movie. What is it? Is it Bridesmaids where she was like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't think it's Bridesmaids, but maybe she does get hurt in that a couple times. She's definitely been in her fair share of accidents in movies. I would say.
I think Wiig in
performer.
In the spirit of Cheetah, she could do the live action. Mr. Saying she can play Celia.
Oh, you had to bring that up. No, that's brutal. Yeah, after that, no, I don't want Kristen Wiig. Give me Rachel Sennett instead.
Let's jump over to our rating, Cody.
As you proceed through the poetry in this book, practice this rating method.
What do you want to give this movie? I know it's going to be a little lower than me.
Yeah, this one's tough. I don't think it's a 5-star movie for me. I do just have some small issues with it. But I feel like the in-between of the 4 and the 5s are hard for me. I think I'm just going to... I had it in my notes at a 62, but I think I'm going to bump it up to a 60... No, I think I'll leave it at 62. It's tough. You got to have some buffer for the 5 stars because there's some high 5 stars and some low ones. This is well, I don't know. On my 4 and a star list, it's actually not that high.
Well, here are some other movies you've given 62s: Booksmart, Inception,
That's
and
an early
Exorcist.
ranking. Okay, I mean, Booksmart. What season was that? That was like season 2 with us. So that's out of context. I think Inception and The Exorcist. Those are both 4.5 star. Well, Inception might be a 4-star actually, but I think that's
63 is a Guardians of the Galaxy, the Batman, Goodfellas, and Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's too high for the Batman. That's too high for the Batman for sure on rewatch, but I think that's fair. I mean, those are all movies I really enjoy, so I think 62 is a good ranking.
62 solid. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm only a little higher than you. I'm a 63.
Okay,
but I mean, for me, like to me, this is a 5-star movie, but it is like the bottom of my 5-star movies. So this is right on the cusp.
I think that's fair.
Other movies that I've also given a 63, Shawshank, Dune, Part 2. I gave a 63. So a couple 5-star movies there.
Too low.
The Departed has a 62 though. So
whoa. You think this movie's better than Departed?
I think I do, Cody.
Whoa. That's a hot take. I mean, I respect it.
This is hard to compare. Top 50 all time. The Monsters Inc.
Oh, Departed. Top 5 all time. Come on, man. Goated. I'm not the fucking rat.
Hey, man. You know what I think. You know what would make that movie top 5 all time. Cut the ending. Fair. Let's jump over to Tomato.
Tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes.
Oh, man.
Should we just, I don't know. Should we just do John Goodman? That feels like the safe, like,
yeah.
I know the most John Goodman.
I think that's fair.
All right.
He's in a lot. Yeah.
I think we can make that work. Do you want to start? Do you want to?
I think it's my turn to go first, right? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I can't remember.
Go for it. I'll let you.
Last episode? Okay.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, John Goodman. I mean, like we said, oh man, he's been in a lot. I mean, there's some iconic stuff that jumps out to me, but I don't know if it'd be the good of the good for him.
This is like I don't know. This is a tough one because like I know a lot of his movies, but I think it's going to be a close one. Of someone gets like a 60 and an 80 or something.
Yeah, he does do voice work too. I think for good, I'm just gonna go fingers crossed and hope this is highly rated because this is maybe my favorite of his, and just go the Big Lebowski, where he of course plays what is it? It's Donnie, right? I mean, he's just complete madman. So I think that's my favorite performance of Goodman specifically as well.
The fit is the glasses,
and he's with Buscemi there too, which I didn't think about. Shout out.
True. Yeah, that's a good triumph right there. Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and Steve Buscemi. This is an 80%.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think it would be that high, but I thought it'd be a little bit higher.
I think you're in a good
stuff
because I don't like. I'm trying to think of like this movie's probably.
Oh,
I think this movie I saw it has like a 96. I think on Rotten.
That's cheating.
So
though,
yeah, no, I'm not gonna use it. There's a movie I really hate, but I think like low key might have a high Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and maybe if it's low, I'll be happy. I'm gonna say extremely loud and incredibly close. Which like I don't even remember what the fuck he's doing in that movie. It's got a 44, so thank God that movie sucks.
That is pretty low. Dang, I just thought of a really good one for the top of it too. So that's tough.
Well, maybe 20 is all you need. You could go for a 100.
Yeah, true. Actually, if I get like a 95, my thought process for animated other stuff that I know that he's been in, Monsters University, which I still think it's like fresh though. I think it's still like around the 60 range. But the other one too is Emperor's New Groove, which I know that he's in. So I think I'm gonna pick that. I can't think of anything else like really crappy that he's been in. But I just thought of, well, I don't want to say it yet. I'll reveal it if you don't name it for your high one. But he's in a lot of good movies, I think, which is tough.
86% for
Emperor's New Groove. 86. I don't like that movie.
Higher. Oh, that's a classic, man. Great TV show too.
Yeah, I like the TV show actually, but wow, maybe I should have taken Monsters University. Dang, I should have taken my freaking my high one if I was going the opposite direction. Well, this is an easy dub for you, yeah.
Another bad I was thinking was Kong. That could be in the lower end. I don't know where that's at, but
that's probably 60s or 70s.
Kong Skull Island.
That's probably the same as like Monsters University, I would bet.
I think I'm gonna go Raising Arizona here, which is just a movie I like a lot.
Nice.
Nick Cage led film early. I think this is his first collab with the Coen brothers.
Yeah,
it's got a 91%, so I do take home the victory there.
Just slightly, but yeah, I love that. John Goodman's in a lot of good Coen brother flicks too, so he knows who to work with for sure. I was thinking of Argo. I mean, Best Picture winner. He does have a smaller role in that, so it took me a little bit to pull, but he is good in that. I like that movie for sure.
He's just like playing one of the like studio guys, right? That's like
him and Alan Arkin.
Yeah,
or what's his name? Alan Arkin. Yeah.
Yes. 96% for Argo, Cody.
Ooh, where's Monsters University at? I'm curious.
The University is an 80%, so the critics
matter. Yeah.
Don't know what
I mean.
about.
He's not really in that many bad movies. I mean, he's got the filmography, I'm sure, but nothing like that stands out, I feel like. Oh, the Flintstones. I pulled that a while ago in a different episode.
True, that was when we did the Olympics. I think you called out the Flintstones.
That was a good poll.
Which does have a 23% on Rotten
That'd be a good one.
Barton Fink has a 90%, another high one.
Nice.
Blues Brothers 2000, 46%. That would have been a bad one to go for. The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, which he does, I think, like before this, 42%.
That's a good poll too.
The Jungle Book 2, which he apparently voices Baloo in, is 19%. Clifford Really Big Movie from 2004 is a.
I've seen that. That's a childhood classic.
Kronk's New Groove has a 0%. If you had pulled that,
wow, I missed. I was so close.
Evan Almighty, he's in, which has a 24%. B movie. He plays Congressman Long. I don't, like.
Oh yeah, he is like the bad guy. I love that. You're just naming.
Speed Racer, 41%.
Yeah.
2008 Speed
That's
Racer.
A good one, too.
The Artist in 2011, which is a 95%, also wins Best Picture.
Yeah.
Inside Llewyn Davis, another Coen Brothers, 92%. Trumbo, the movie with Bryan Cranston, 75%. 10 Cloverfield Lane, I wasn't sure where that would land. It's a 91%. Kong Skull Island, 76%. So wouldn't really helped anyone. And then he voices Hound in Transformers: The Last Night, which I know is a favorite of yours. and that has a
Oh.
16%. So that could have
Shout out Anthony Hopkins, but yeah, he must play a Transformer in that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe a dog Transformer or something. I fucking mind that.
I could not tell you, but
Hound Transformers. Oh, he's like a big fat Transformer. Big surprise there, sorry, but he's got like a beard and a fucking 3 machine guns. Jesus.
Maybe it's solely in the future of the Pixar universe.
He's kind of green, so looks like a great guy. Let's jump over to our weekly watches, Cody. What have you been into?
How's the movie? What movie?
Yes, it's been a little bit since we recorded. I think I actually did go back and listen to the episode because I didn't know where I'd even left off. I did finish Cage-tober. I watched Talk to Me, which I did like a lot, actually. I think the cast was really great, even though I think it was mostly just like unknown Australian people. But the main girl, I think, it has really, got cast in a bunch of other stuff. So shout out to her. And again, just another good kind of A24 horror flick that I didn't expect much from. And
a couple of YouTube boys just making it big.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Raka Raka, I know British, YouTube.
I think they're Australian.
Yeah, but they were in the British community for sure.
I hear you.
With like, the Sidemen and whoever else. But I mean, big ups to them. I would have never thought that they directed that film without kind of their name on it. So pretty cool. I don't know if that might be their peak. I'm definitely still down on them. It's a damn impressive debut. Other than that, I did check out the entirety of the series of The Penguin, which I talked about the Milioti episode last time, which is still awesome. But oh man, the finale's intense. So Corbin, I think you got to watch this, especially before.
Well, that's the thing. I'm gonna have
the
to
Batman.
watch it before the Batman too.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of time before that happens.
True. So no rush, but really good stuff. Shout out Colin Farrell, and I hope they do a second season. I think they will. Other than that, just some random movies I've been watching. I love my kind of just tale of movies because I kind of just watch whatever the hell I want. So I watched the first 2 Scooby.
You're just a fucking bachelor living up with your cats, Cody. No one can tell you what you have to watch. It's this fucking show and
read them
over the world.
Yeah, that's all it. But I watched the first 2, or I guess the only 2 live action Scooby-Doo movies, which I hadn't seen before. Casting's on point, man. I mean, Linda Cardellini, what a hit that was. So I thought they were okay. Nothing great, but fun stuff regardless. Some more serious stuff. I checked out I Saw the TV Glow, which is a release from this year.
One of your rostered teams?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
True. God,
on your fantasy team?
My team sucks. But
I mean, no, that movie did well.
That's one of my better movies, but it's okay. I didn't love it. I feel like it's one of those where you either really love it or it's just kind of, it is what it is. Good commentary, good visuals, decent performances. I still don't really love, Justice Smith or whatever his name is that much, but he was good in it. My favorite line is when the girls, just the exploration of sexuality I thought was really good. The line that sticks out is like, she's like, oh, I like girls. He's like, yeah, I don't care. And then she's like, so, do you like girls? Do you like boys? He's like, I think I like TV shows. Put that on a poster and I'll put that in my room. But other than that, kind of mid. You saw that a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, it's been a few months, and I did get to see the director Jane Schoenbrunn talk afterwards. So that, was opened a little bit of doors to understanding what they were trying to kind of convey there on a craft level. And when you think of the visuals, the cinematography, there's the musical performance in the middle of it that I think is just so fun.
Yeah. Phoebe Bridges or Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I think.
Well, no, Phoebe Bridges.
No,
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is
Fleabag.
Yeah, Phoebe Bridgers.
Phoebe Bridgers. Jesus, too many Phoebes.
And then there's also I can't remember the other artist. The soundtrack as a whole is really for a certain alternative fan. Is very well crafted. It's not necessarily my music, but then that's generally the thing I think about the music. I respect everything it's doing, but I cannot necessarily connect with it emotionally because it's just it's about a lot of feelings that I don't fully grasp or I haven't experienced. And I think that's the cool thing about movies is it's a director telling their story about their feelings in a cool genre sci-fi way.
Yeah. You don't like TV shows?
No, I do like TV shows, but that's the thing. It's so many people after the fact were oh man, this is such a great, this is about nostalgia. And that the movie is much deeper than just that. It's about fucking like the loss of your childhood more than anything. And like, because, you know, you living a lie and not being the person that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a really important movie for a lot of people. And like, I think if somebody who's experiencing those things and going through those things, you know, young trans kids out there, especially fucking in 2024 America, where we just elected Donald Trump, this is a very important movie for people to have. And I think it's so cool that like people are seeing it and talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a really good one too for like the deep video breakdowns on. So those were the must watch after, but overall decent. Other than that too, I checked out Woman of the Hour, which is a Netflix film, Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. I thought it was actually really good. I was surprised. It's pretty much just like centered around a serial killer who ends up being on a reality TV show. And it's really just like in the 70s and really good commentary of, you know, just how freaking poorly women were treated, you know, during that time. So shout out Anna. I've always been a fan of her in general. And yeah, definitely I want to see her direct a lot more stuff. And then TV show as well, which we were talking about a little bit before. And something that's really connected with me is Normal People, which is, of course, one season on Hulu starring Daisy Edgar Jones and Gladiator Boy. Man, this is some deep stuff. I can't even force myself to make jokes on this because it goes some dark places. But just unbelievable. I mean, writing, directing, acting. I mean, just crazy stuff. So that's probably my highest rec that I'll have. And yeah, I love Daisy Edgar Jones. So shout out Twisters.
I think you are like the fourth person now that has told me how much they love that show.
I mean, it's just, it's,
I guess 5 if we're counting Ridley Scott as well in there. You're number 5.
It's a bit of a slow burn. Like the first 5 episodes, there's just stuff that I didn't expect and kind of, you know, how explicit it is. I guess is the right way to say it. But, I mean, you just know these characters, like these are pretty much the only 2 characters in it. Like obviously there's everybody surrounding them, but the entirety of these, you know, 12 episodes, you're just talking about the relationship between these 2. And it's just a really powerful relationship. They've both been through so much in their lives, and it's really good stuff. The ending's kind of bullshit, but hopefully they do a second season.
I don't think so.
I think they might actually. But other than that, the last 2 movies I checked out Office Space, which was fun, and then I also checked out Singing in the Rain, which I'd never seen before. Shout out Gene Kelly, man. My God, we need more tap dancing in movies today. So
Timmy Chalamet was doing it for you last year, man. He was putting in the work.
Give me less, you know, musicals, you know, from Broadway, and give me more, you know, original musicals where they're tap dancing. So that's all my recs. So
I don't think there's any tap dancing in Wicked, unfortunately, Cody. I could be wrong. Might be wrong about that.
If there was, I'd go see it tomorrow, but looks like we gotta wait.
The big thing that Mina and I have started watching is kind of weirdly related to 2 of the things you've seen. And that's, we've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So obviously connection there with, you know, Daphne and Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And then like I saw the TV glow, really like the TV shows and the energy, like Buffy was like the main kind of like 90s nostalgia point.
The pink opaque, I think it's called.
Yeah, you've got, you know, your Monsters of the Week, and like that's a show that like for a lot of, you know, outcasted kids in the 90s, especially like LGBT kids, they found a space in Buffy. And Mina's super into, you know, the vampires and werewolves, and
it's a good show,
you know. And I've watched it before, and my family's a huge fan of it. My fucking mom's 2 cats are named after characters from the show. So we're going down that journey together now, and it's fun to enjoy that with her. It's very 90s. Joss, bad guy though.
Rip Joss.
It is funny because like you can really see like the early like the quips when fighting. You're like, oh yeah, that's such a fucking Whedon moment. Or like the dream sequences, like how many of these have we seen in the MCU? If you liked, you know, 2010s blockbusters, you'll probably like Buffy, because a lot of them, you know, that energy came from there originally. Running just quickly through the movies that I've seen. Long list of new ones here. Red One. I wish I hated this more. Like, I just wish it was worse, but it's almost just like, blah, you know? Okay. The message of the movie is basically just that like Christmas is all about getting presents, and like the most efficient way for Santa Claus to deliver presents. And yes, it's about like good and bad and the naughty list, but it doesn't have that like positive Christmas message in it. It's really just about like Amazon. I mean, it is an Amazon movie, so I don't know. I found that a little questionable. Kiernan Shipka plays a Christmas witch, where it's like in a different movie, I could be really into that. Like if you really played it, but it's just like when you've got she's up against The Rock and Chris Evans, it's not fun at all. It's not exciting. I did like some of the creature effects, like they do like a Krampus thing.
What about the snowmen?
It's good. And I like the snowmen. You know, those are fun items. Yeah, I mean, it's in a bad scene with Nick Kroll, but for the most part, the movie is not funny. Saw that on the big screen though. IMAX, gotta lock in. Christmas movie in the beginning of November. Then I saw Venom: The Last Dance.
Okay.
My least favorite of the Venom trilogy. I hate to report. Chiwetel and Juno Temple just like don't need to be there, and that's the problem.
What's
like,
Chiwetel doing, man? Come on.
I don't know, and like they're like, oh well, here's Chiwetel Ejiofor for like this guy, a great actor, we paid him, like let's make sure he's in the movie for a while and have him do shit. And it's just like the plot doesn't fucking matter. And like I guess they're kind of I guess Juno Temple is like the closest this movie goes to a sequel setup, and I don't want to see any of it. I
think we
Noel,
will.
you know about Noel, Cody?
Yeah, I heard he might be the big bad in MCU Spider-Man 4, but I don't really know what's going on.
This movie's not fun. I also rewatched Children of Men, which is a great movie.
Love it.
And saved Chiwetel in my eyes.
Chiwetel again.
It's gonna be okay.
So good. Love that movie.
Bring us back to that. Nina and I also watched Ella Enchanted, which is on our MK300 list. So we're getting back into those and releasing those. We just released one of those episodes. So look out for that coming soon.
Yeah, I just listened to the Planet of the Apes. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, we recorded that like 6 months ago, but you know, hey, it's released now.
Nice.
Then here I watched the new Robert Zemeckis movie. I can report that I did cry, but I also find it abhorrent. So,
well, it made you cry.
It did make me cry. Robin Wright made me cry.
You're not a big crier either.
You know, I've become more of one in recent years, and especially if I go to a movie alone, I'm just sitting there, I'll let it out. But Robin Wright affected me. Otherwise, this movie is just like boomer schlop, and like it does like a modern day 2022 like COVID scene in the movie that's really bad. There's no complexity to any of these like other stories that it's trying to tell in terms of like the gimmicky one place de-aging nature of it. Like I think it works to a certain degree, but it just like doesn't even really use it for anything like that interesting or that effective. And like when you go back in time to the Native American stories, like you're not actually seeing any real characters or real stories. It's just giving you flashpoints of like, hey, Native Americans lived here one time. Hey, there was dinosaurs. And then it's going to, there's a couple other random stories that are kind of shoehorned in there. And thematically, none of them truly like have any connection. And it's just trying to create an emotional connection by putting them next to each other. It's like, I'm going to show you this scene of a guy in a chair, and then I'm going to show you this scene of a guy dying of laughter. You tell me what it means. It doesn't mean anything, Cody. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Sounds like some Zemeckis bullshit.
It definitely is. And then I also watched the first Sonic movie for the first time, which I didn't enjoy. I don't think is very good.
Not a Marsden guy? Yeah,
I just didn't think it was very funny. Like the plot, like just everything about it was kind of half-assed to me.
Got John Raffio too. I mean, yeah, tough.
I think the Sonic voice performance is solid. I think Ben Schwartz is good, but
yeah,
Jim Carrey is fine as Dr. Robotnik, but
yeah, did you see with the third one? He's playing like some old.
Well, he's gonna be a good guy now. I don't know. They gotta get him to help defeat Shadow, who has a gun. It's gonna be.
I haven't seen it. There's also a Knuckles Paramount Plus show. So
right. Well, the thing is, like, I do think like if you add Tails and Knuckles and Shadow, like it probably becomes more interesting to me. But when it's like just Sonic, kind of like not even really knowing how to do his powers, like the Quicksilver bullet time scene that they do is solid, but it doesn't make any fucking like none of the. How fast does this guy run?
It's not better than Quicksilver though. I mean,
no,
you can't do
Sonic overpowered, but also underpowered. The power scaling doesn't make any sense. I'll say that. And then I watched Glicked this weekend, and we'll talk. I did a Glicked double feature, so we'll talk about that in some upcoming episodes.
Shout out Glicked. Such a dumb name. I'm over the Barbenheimer.
No, it's
merging
bad. I'm
names.
only saying it because it's bad. It's
Glicked. It rolls off the tongue, but
I got glicked.
Should be glicked. Yeah,
I got glicked down. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and we'll be back with a little Gladiator talk next week. Gladiator Twisters. Be ready.
Stay capping.
Peace.
Bye.